Imagine standing on a windswept plateau, over 4,000 meters above sea level in the Peruvian Andes. The air is thin, freezing winds cut through your clothes, and snowstorms can roll in without warning. It looks like an empty wasteland, but beneath your feet lies something extraordinary, one of the largest copper reserves on Earth, worth hundreds of billions of dollars. You would think countries and companies would be fighting to dig it up, but here's the twist. This place is so hostile, so unforgiving that mining giants from Switzerland to Canada all tried, and all failed. Equipment froze solid. Workers collapsed from altitude sickness, and entire camps had to be abandoned after deadly storms. Environmental rules made it even harder, with water protection standards stricter than anywhere else in the world. This is why the mine earned its nickname, the Hell Mine. No country wanted to touch it again. Everyone said it was impossible. And yet, in 2014, China did something shocking. It spent $7 billion to buy this cursed mine. At the time, the world laughed, but 10 years later, nobody's laughing anymore. To understand why China risked billions on such a dangerous mine, we need to first understand copper itself. Copper isn't just another metal, it's the backbone of modern life. Every time you flip a light switch, charge your phone, or ride in a car, copper is working silently in the wires, motors, and circuits. Without it, electricity simply doesn't flow. Now imagine a country like China, the world's biggest manufacturing hub. It builds everything from smartphones to electric vehicles, and all of it needs copper. Here's the problem. China doesn't have enough of its own. Out of the world's copper reserves, China holds less than 4%. That's shockingly small for a country with such massive industrial needs. This shortage has already caused serious problems. In 2014, a worker strike in Chile, the world's top copper producer, sent copper prices in China soaring by 5% in a single day. Just one strike, thousands of kilometers away, nearly disrupted China's entire supply chain. For a nation trying to move from made in China to powered by China, relying on others for copper felt like a dangerous weakness. And that's exactly why the Las Bambas mine in Peru became so important. Most companies saw Las Bambas as a death trap. China, however, treated it as a challenge to be solved step by step. Instead of relying on old methods, they rewrote the playbook. First, they tackled transportation. Using drones to survey the cliffs, Chinese engineers carved out a 4-lane highway through the Andes, replacing the treacherous dirt road. Suddenly, heavy trucks and machinery could move safely. Next came the equipment problem. Standard mining machines simply couldn't survive the thin air and intense UV radiation. So China worked with its research institutes to design customized high-altitude machinery that could operate reliably where others failed. Worker safety was another hurdle. To protect miners from altitude sickness, every worker wore a smart helmet that tracked heart rate and oxygen levels in real time. If someone's health was in danger, the system triggered an alert. But the biggest breakthrough was technology. China built a 5G-powered remote control center in Lima, 1,000 kilometers away. From there, engineers could operate excavators, blasting equipment, and processing systems, all without exposing workers to the harsh environment. By 2023, nearly 80% of mining operations were automated. This mix of infrastructure, innovation, and persistence transformed Las Bambas from a hell mine into one of the world's first smart mines, where technology beat nature at its own game. China soon realized that technology alone wouldn't guarantee success at Las Bambas. The mine sat in a sensitive ecological zone and was surrounded by local villages that had long distrusted foreign mining companies. Winning their trust was just as important as extracting copper. Instead of clashing with locals, China took a different path. They pledged community dividends, sharing profits with nearby towns. They invested 80 million yuan to build the Kudetai Bridge, which cut commuting time for villagers by 4 hours. For the first time, the mine was seen not as a curse, but as an opportunity. Environmental protection was treated as a priority, not an afterthought. Chinese teams met Peru's strict standards by installing advanced water treatment systems and monitoring waste daily. Beyond compliance, they launched reforestation projects covering 368 hectares and released 600,000 trout into local rivers to restore ecosystems. They also built programs like the Heart of Las Bambas, holding regular forums where villagers could voice concerns. This openness built real trust. Within a few years, surveys showed that 60% of young people in surrounding towns wanted to work at the mine, where wages were 3 times higher than the local average. By combining profit with responsibility, China achieved what other mining giants never managed, turning a once hostile community into a partner in success. After years of struggle and investment, the gamble began to pay off. By 2023, Las Bambas had already produced 2.7 million tons of copper, worth about $27 billion at market prices. And this was just the beginning. The mine still held more than 10 million tons of recoverable reserves, a treasure chest valued close to $100 billion. Every year, about 400,000 tons of copper concentrate now leave the mine. Trains carry it through the Andes to Peru's Pacific coast, where ships sail it to China. After a 23-day journey, the copper arrives at smelters in cities like Nanjing, ready to be turned into motors for electric cars, wires for solar farms, and cables for power grids. What once seemed impossible is now part of China's daily supply chain. Peru, too, has reaped major rewards. In the region around the mine, per capita, GDP tripled, rising from $1,300 in 2014 to $4,000 in less than a decade. The mine has paid over $1.7 billion in taxes, accounting for around 5% of Peru's annual budget. China also funded upgrades to the port of Matarani and invested in new railways, cutting transport costs by 80%. What the world once mocked as a doomed investment had become a win-win engine of growth, enriching both China and Peru while reshaping global copper supply. What began as the world's most impossible mine is now one of China's proudest victories in resource development. A place once called the Hell Mine has been transformed into a model of smart, sustainable mining, where advanced technology, environmental care, and community cooperation work hand in hand. For China, Las Bambas is more than just a copper supply. It's a strategic weapon in the global resource game. The copper shipped from Peru powers electric vehicles, renewable energy systems, and the technologies that will shape the future. By securing this mine, China has reduced its dependence on foreign suppliers and built a safety net for its industries. For Peru, the mine has delivered jobs, infrastructure, and revenue that were once unimaginable in such a remote region. Villages that once viewed the project with fear now see it as a path to prosperity. The bigger lesson is clear. In a world where natural resources decide who leads and who follows, China proved that bold risks, backed by innovation and persistence, can change the global map. And this is just one story in a much larger race for resources. If you want to keep up with how these battles are reshaping the future of nations, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next big story.